Every year, there's a little award that goes around for gamers out there to show off the best of certain years. In this case, it's the Game Awards. Sure, you have things like the Golden Joysticks or just the BAFTA Game Awards, but most people like to look at the Game Awards. Not only for the awards that are out there for any games that are the best, but it's also a way to show off game trailers of what's to come and something that might be like a little teaser for people. Personally, I don't really care for the awards unless it's a game I'm actually really interested in, but I'm mostly interested in the trailers though. Every single time that there's an award and there's like a nominations for it, I usually vote and I go for the best pick that I think deserves it, but I know they won't win it, but it's nice to have a vote out there somewhere. But if you're a Dark Side Phil, you're just going to sit there confused about certain qualifications of what makes it on the Game Awards and what isn't qualified. And it just blows his fucking mind.
The Game of the Year award nominees were announced, or I should say the Game Awards nominees were announced. This covered various topics. Of course, you always have your Game of the Year contenders, Game of the Year nominees. But in addition, you have all of your minor categories as well. And before we actually get to the games that are nominated...
Yeah, before he gets to the games that are nominated, I love how he's like saying that the Game of the Year award is like the one award that everyone wants to talk about. But again, all the other awards that he deems as minor, those are the ones that are kind of important as well. The action-adventure game, indie game, debut indie game, family game, all of those right there, those are somewhat important. But yet, Phil wants to sit there and go, nah, those are fucking minor. I just want to see what game wins this year.
I would just like to read through the various categories so you guys know what they actually do at the Game Awards.
Thank you for reading off what the nominees are. I mean, for God's sakes, it's not like I could read them or anything.
So, here you go. I'm actually going to start from the bottom. And I'm going to read all the way up. These are all the categories, all right, that they do at the Game Awards, all right?
Okay, Phil, we got it. Move on.
So, from the bottom up, ready? Best esports event, best esports coach, best esports team, best esports athlete, best esports game. They really love their esports now at the Game Awards, apparently. It's interesting.
Well, they had that for a few years now, Phil, and the reason why that's considered a part of the Game Awards, because, again, has something to do with gaming, so it makes sense.
Wasn't aware that it was that big of a deal. Okay. Content creator of the year. Always a hilarious topic because usually people don't know 90% of the people that are nominated for that category. You never even heard of them.
Well, if they might not know who they are, Phil, they probably do now. The reason why they usually put them on there is because they do gaming topics, Phil. They have a lot of gaming content to offer. So it's kind of a way to say, hey, these people are being nominated. Check them out or give them a chance before you nominate them. I mean, it's not that hard.
Most anticipated game, best adaptation, best multiplayer, best sports and racing, best sim and strategy game.
Phil, just put your fucking cat on the fucking floor. I mean, for God's sakes, there's nothing wrong with doing that. You can say, hold on, let me put Jasper down for a minute and then continue. But no, you're trying to make a big deal about it. It's like, look at what Jasper's doing. Jasper did that. Also, that cat wants a lot of a fucking attention. I mean, Phil, that's the only pussy you're ever gonna fucking get.
Best family, best fighting, best RPG, best action adventure, best action, best VR or AR, best mobile game.
I mean, I get it. Jasper is trying to derail his own fucking stream, but it's like, I understand it. Cats are fucking cute, but there's a time and a place for a cat to be there, and now's not the time.
Best debut indie game, but also best independent game. So a debut independent game and also a separate topic for all independent games. Okay.
Okay, so you're confused about it. The reason why there's the best indie debut game is because it's from a studio that hadn't made games before, and this is their breakout. And also, indie games is from indie studios that have made games before, and these games got acclaimed for something or positive reception. That's a big difference between best indie debut and best indie game. But Phil's looking at it like, why could it have to be two? Why couldn't it be just one?
Best community support, best ongoing game.
Phil's reading off these awards, and he's really confused of what the fuck they are. It's like, Phil, if you're confused about it, just say, why do they have these here? But instead, he's just reading it off and looking at the camera like, what the fuck is this award for? Best community support? That's my streams.
Games for impact. Innovation in accessibility. Best performance by a game actor, basically.
Yeah, it's a best performance in a video game, Phil. What's so hard to understand?
Best audio design. Best score and music. Best art direction. Best narrative. Best game direction. And game of the year. Okay?
Yeah, okay, these are the awards, guys. Are you happy that I read them off? Oh, I gotta rub my eye. Oh, it took a lot out of me.
Pretty crazy. It's a lot of topics. It's a lot of categories.
31 categories is not really that big, Phil. If you want really big award nominees, watch the Academy Awards.
They take it seriously, I guess. Or do they? Because here's the deal, all right? The Game Awards, I hate to say it, all right, have two fatal flaws every single year. And as much as I feel that Jeff Keighley is very well-intentioned with his show, and he's really trying to make games professional. I mean, look what he's done in the last several years with Summer Game Fest. As E3 was on the decline, he basically replaced E3 with his own show that's just as good.
But yet, when you watch it, though, you bitched and complained that you weren't making money from it.
I get that he's trying to make this professional, all right? I totally get it. But the Game Awards have two critical flaws every year that I call out, but they're all just ignored as if it doesn't exist, all right? Flaw number one, all right? The Game Awards have a cutoff for what games can be nominated. So I'll give you an example, all right? And I'm not saying that this seriously would be a contender or anything, but the Game Awards only consider games up to a certain point in November. So, for example, this week, Like a Dragon Gaiden came out. Guess what game is not eligible? Right? This week, Super Mario RPG Remake comes out. It's not eligible. Guess what other game comes out next month? The Avatar game from Ubisoft. It's not eligible. Why?
Well, here's the reason why for that, Phil. Because they have a certain cutoff date for it. November 10th is usually the cutoff date for the Game Awards. Any game that's come out from November 10th of 2022 to November 10th, 2023, those are the ones that get nominated. And the ones that didn't get nominated for that year, they usually come up on the year after it, though. That's the main reason why with it, though. But due to the fact that each year different games come out, most of the games that came out in 2022 usually get pushed to the side or forgotten. That's the reason why they're not really eligible. But they're going for the ones that held a lot of acclaim. That's what they're going for the Game Awards. But Phil's sitting there confused going, why is there a cutoff date? Why couldn't they do it till the end of the year?
Because the Game Awards are run the first week of December. But that's not the end of the year. How can you have a year show, the Game of the Year Awards, the Game Awards, it's supposed to be contenders for the year, but it doesn't include anything from the last month and a half to 2 months of the year. How does that make sense?
Again, Phil, because the cutoff date is November 10th, sometimes November 9th. That's the cutoff date for it. And any games that get nominated from November 10th all the way over to this year of November 10th, they somewhat get nominated on there. But again, if games have higher claims, they'll be put on the awards show. It's like Phil doesn't understand how shit works.
It doesn't. And you might say, well, why do they do it that way? Because of advertisers. I'm not shitting you. They found during market research the best way to make money with this show is to run it the first week of December. If they ran it in January, most advertisers have already expended all of their advertising budgets for Christmas, and they don't have a lot of money to throw towards ads in January. So if they held the show in January and it was more legit for the awards, they would not make as much money. So because of money, they hold it in fucking December.
Phil likes to make up a lot of bullshit without showing any fucking evidence. He wants to say it's all about the advertisements, but yet he's not bringing up any fucking evidence to back up his claims. He does this every single time he's bringing up any type of news sources, or for his gaming news, or anything for his podcast. Doesn't bring any evidence to the table, and you have to take his word for it. Source, he made it the fuck up.
Pretty stupidly greedy, isn't it? Yes.
Well, Phil, you're pretty stupidly greedy, but everyone knows that already.
But I guess it's just business, right? Now you may say, well, that's okay, because any games that come out in like November, December will be eligible for next year. Yeah, except it's literally never happened. Go back during the history of the Game Awards and look at games that have come out around November, December that got slighted that year, and you tell me if they were ever nominated for the next year.
Cyberpunk did. Cyberpunk was nominated for Best RPG. Did it win? No.
Not once. They get forgotten.
Phil already gave you an example, but yeah, that's going to get brushed underneath the rug now, isn't it?
Just like games that come out at the very beginning of the year always get forgotten and never get nominated.
You want to know why it gets forgotten, Phil? Because it may be the top craze at the very fucking beginning, but as the year goes on, there's going to be something to replace it. Baldur's Gate 3 replaced it when all the other games came out, and people talked about Baldur's Gate 3. You thought they were going to do the same thing with Starfield, but that didn't work now, did it?
Even if they're great games, all right? I'll give you guys an example. Hogwarts Legacy was the absolute hottest game of the year this year, early on in February.
I don't think Phil knows the reason why Hogwarts Legacy was the hottest game earlier in the year. I don't think that he does, but if he does, he's not going to say it.
Everyone was playing it. Everyone was talking about it. It was a hotbed of discussion, right? Oh my God, the controversy around the game and everything. Now, admittedly, I don't think that it was the best game of the year. I actually feel that the game had flaws or whatever. But, dude, it sold tons. It was one of the best-selling games of the year. It was the biggest thing. Guess what? Literally not being discussed at Game of the Year awards at all. As if it never existed. Like the game never came out this year.
Again, Phil, it's because other games that came out after it are more of the talk of it. They got more discussions done with it. That's the reason why Hogwarts Legacy is not on there. A good example of a game that got a lot of awards, but it didn't win Game of the Year, would be Red Dead Redemption 2. When that game came out in October of 2018, it was a hot craze, and people liked it, and it won a lot of awards. However, due to the fact that God of War 2018 came out in April of that year, that won Game of the Year because people knew about it already, and it had more attention. It already had a lot more discussion done with it. But at the same time, you could say it's all about the money, but it's all just speculation of what it really is.
Why? Because it came out in February. These awards really only start considering games around late March, April, and they only carry through till around October. And that's it. Any game that comes out November, December, January, February, it's like it doesn't exist. As if it never released.
Phil likes to say that all these games that came out in November all the way to February of this year, they don't even talk about it anymore, or they're not nominated. There are two games that are on the Game Awards list that were nominated. Dead Space Remake and fucking Hi-Fi Rush. Those two games came out in January, and yet those were nominated, and people talk about those. Oh, he's taking a sip of his water. Ooh.
I think that's incredibly stupid. I don't think that's fair. I think it's unprofessional.
Well, Phil, I just gave you two examples of games that came out in January of this fucking year, and they got nominated. So what you're saying is completely fucking stupid.
But if you really want to talk unprofessional, in truth, the reason that I really find the core flaw of this show is that I just named all the categories, right? And you might say, oh, well, that's interesting. So how do they determine the winners? Are you ready? 120 gaming journalists and insiders vote.
Okay. And?
Okay. Gaming journalists and insiders. Not gamers, but gaming journalists and insiders are the people who vote on these categories.
Phil, you seem to forget that the Game Awards also have the thing called Player's Choice, where they have certain games on there that are considered to be the best among gamers. They have that as well. But yet you're looking at it going, oh yeah, they have that like their own electoral college of what games should be on the Game Awards. Oh yeah, that's terrible, guys.
So you might say for yourself, well, wait a minute. If you truly look at the innovative games and the best games of 2023, Why would a game, well, would a game like Street Fighter 6 ever be nominated for Game of the Year?
No, it will get nominated for Fighting Game of the Year, which it did, but it won't be Game of the Year contender.
Okay? Well, let's take a look. Let's actually start that discussion right now. Okay? Game of the Year nominees for 2023 are as follows. You ready for this? Here we go. These are the Game of the Year contenders for this year. Alan Wake 2. Okay, I agree on that one. I just finished it, and it was one of the most innovative games I've played in many years. It will resonate with me forever because of the innovative things it did. I love the game. One of the best narratives ever. Yes, it's definitely Game of the Year contender for me.
The only reason why he thinks it's really innovative is because you could switch between Saga and Alan. That's the only reason why he really likes that game. And he made a big bitch fit because somebody played the game and played only as Saga and said, oh, that was fucking boring. That's the only innovation that he liked about it. But every single time you see him play the game, he's going clown mode or he's just bored with the game.
Okay. Baldur's Gate 3.
Ha!
Certainly I didn't play it.
Well, you had no desire to play it, but yet you were dick riding it like you were going to play it, but you're like, no, I'm not going to play that game. Starfield's better.
I think it's undeniable. This game, considered one of the best PC RPGs of all time. Then it carried over to PS5. People seem to love it there too. Doesn't fit my format of content, but everyone who's played it seems to agree it's outstanding.
It doesn't match your style of content, Phil. It's because it's more intelligent than you are. You would be sitting there going, okay, I'm gonna do something. Roll for initiative. Critical failure.
Even though I've heard many people fairly criticize it and say, actually, the final third of the game is not very good at all. That the first 2/3 are outstanding, and the final third, they kind of ran out of thoughts and ran out of ideas, and the game completely fizzles out at the end. So how it's perfect and Game of the Year, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing with that, though, Phil, and this is where you're fucking wrong about it. They did fix the third act of it. So, if you actually kept up with the gaming news based around Baldur's Gate 3, you would have known that. But apparently, you want to bring up the fact that what some people say that the third act is not that good, but the first two are really good. Duh. Because you don't want any coherent thought. You don't want to do the research yourself, but you want to take the word of other people. That's the problem, because you are sheeple. And yet, you didn't want to play the game, but yet you were defending and saying it's one of the best games, and that people like, well, I don't know, Square Enix with Final Fantasy 16 should have taken notes.
But that's what people are saying who actually even really liked the game. Okay? Spider-Man 2. Well, after having played 25 hours of it and likely getting to the end of it today, I can say it's probably arguably the best superhero game ever made. It's got the best open world city and open world traversal I've ever seen in a video game. It's got a story that keeps you guessing with twists and turns. It's certainly not overly cliche. It takes a few risks with the plot that aren't in line with the comics or movies. Overall, very, very pleasing game. Is it the perfect game? No. I mean, it does have some annoying parts. It still has stupid MJ missions where for some reason Mary Jane is a fucking superhero even though she's really not. They have to have these progressive segments of the game that make absolutely no sense and are out of place. But for the most part, the game is very pleasing and very satisfying if you're a fan of Spider-Man, superheroes, or anything like that. And a lot of people have even been saying Spider-Man 2 may even take up the mantle as best superhero game ever from Batman Arkham City. So there you go.
But that's the problem with that, though, Phil. Most people's takes or tastes when it comes to video games is very fucking subjective. A lot of people might say that Spider-Man 2 might be considered one of the best games in the Spider-Man or just any superhero video game in general, but a lot of people seem to go back to Arkham City being the better game. But again, DC versus Marvel, that's one thing. But when it comes to its gameplay itself and just everything alone, most people will have a divisive take on it. You'll have people say they'll love it, people will hate it. But again, it's all based around subjectivity.
Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now, out of all the games that are listed here, honestly, I think this is actually the one I disagree with the most.
Why? 2019 had Resident Evil 2 Remake, and that almost had a shot, but then Sekiro took over. Why? No idea.
Resident Evil 4 Remake is a fine game, okay? But it's a remake. It's not necessarily a brand new game. Most of the game ideas and assets are taken from another game, and they've been modernized and updated a bit. But to me, you know, having played the original just a couple years ago and playing this one, I don't really feel like it did enough to be a Game of the Year contender, quite frankly. I mean, I loved it. I thought the game, the graphics were good. The story obviously is good. But I don't know if I believe that this should be a Game of the Year contender at all.
The only reason why you're saying all this, Phil, is because you sucked at the fucking game and you were bitching and complaining about Capcom. That's the main reason why you don't see it as Game of the Year contender, because it kicked your ass and you fucking hated it because it had challenge in it. Then again, you did pick the hardest difficulty, so that's the reason why you fucking hated it.
I think out of all the ones in the Game of the Year list, I don't think this one should be in there. This is the one I kind of disagree with. You could disagree with me, and that's okay. But this is the one that I kind of have a little bit of an issue with, and I think that's a little off base. Okay?
Well, could you be honest to why you don't want that on the Game of the Year list, Phil? Could it be that you hated the game for kicking your ass? That could be the main reason why, but then again, it is the main reason why, and you just don't like Resident Evil. But he wants to sit there going, oh, it's a remake. They just took the old game and made it newer. Even though they changed the story quite a fucking bit in the remake. And you just didn't see the fucking difference.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I wholeheartedly agree. Apparently some people are up in arms about this. I agree with this. Super Mario Brothers Wonder is the best 2D Mario game in like 25 years. It's better than New Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers Wii, Super Mario Brothers Wii U. It's better than all of them. All right? It's got innovation. Almost every stage has something new added. Multiple new power-ups. These wonder abilities that change the stages completely. It really is the most imaginative,
Like that snort was very fucking imaginative. Yeah, sure it is, Phil. Even though the game has other elements from the other Mario games, and it takes certain elements of other games. Donkey Kong Country Returns with the silhouette levels has that going for it, and it has many other things that they put into it. But when I play Mario Brothers Wonder, I keep thinking of Rayman Legends, Donkey Kong Country, and I'm thinking of fucking Mario Brothers Wii or Wii U. I'm thinking of those, but with the Nintendo Power look to it, because the way that Mario looks. That's the only reason why I'm saying this.
Most imaginative Mario game that I have seen in ages. Okay, really. I think it's great. And what's funny is a lot of people are so bigoted against Nintendo and Mario. Oh, that's a kiddie game. How could you consider a 2D platformer, right, to be such a Game of the Year contender? Because I'm not an idiot who has a closed mind and thinks that things that are older are worse, you know? Yes, it is a 2D platformer. It definitely follows all of the constraints of a 2D platformer game, which started in the 1980s, right? But that doesn't mean it's bad. Just because you personally don't like it doesn't mean it's not good. It's pretty much best in class for 2D platformers. So why shouldn't it be a Game of the Year contender? It's got high production quality. It's got length. It's got value. It's got innovation. It's got everything in it you want from a great game. It's Nintendo. It's for little kids. No, you're just stupid.
I love the fact that he brought up an imaginary fucking argument, and he's trying to defend his own actions. He's trying to speak out against it, saying that it's the best, innovative. And all these other games that came out for the fucking Game Awards, oh, those aren't innovative enough, but Mario fucking Wonder is. Even though, granted, people might not like that. Let them have their own fucking opinion, Phil. But that's the issue here. If anyone else has an opinion saying that Mario Wonder should not be on the Game of the Year list, then you really can't really see things with an open fucking mind. Because you yourself are closed-minded. You can never accept anyone's criticism or opinions about anything. Final Fantasy 16, bringing that back. I know I talked about it way too many times before, but I'm bringing that back in. Whenever people were giving their opinions about Final Fantasy 16, you immediately looked at them with a closed mind and called them fucking morons for it. So you sitting there saying that you have an open mind, it's really, really pathetic.
What a dumb, ignorant, closed-minded thing to say. Just because you personally don't like it doesn't mean it's not good, right?
How do you know these people have actually played it, Phil? How do you know they didn't play it? That's the issue here. You're just going by what you're thinking. You're generalizing yet again. Me, myself, I play Mario Wonder. It's a really good game. It's a good Nintendo game, the best one I played this year. But is it Game of the Year contender? Nah.
Right?
Oh, he's taking another sip of water after that.
And then lastly, and this one I absolutely, positively knew would be nominated, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, then again, everyone else that's played Tears of the Kingdom or have seen Tears of the Kingdom already knew it was going to be nominated, Phil. Just saying.
I knew this one would be there. Do you want to know why? Gaming journalists.
Oh my fucking god. Phil. Why are you trying to bring this back to gaming journalists again?
This game was like so heavily pushed by gaming journalists this year that I knew it was going to be a Game of the Year contender. But it's hilarious because a lot of people strongly criticized the game and said it's exactly the same map as Breath of the Wild. Yes, there's an underworld and an aerial world, but it's the same game, and all they really did is they added a couple new dungeons and they added in this building mechanic. But it's still Breath of the Wild. It really feels like an expansion to Breath of the Wild, right?
Where are you sourcing this from, Phil? All these people complaining that it's the same fucking game. Because looking at Metacritic, it's doing really well for itself with that score that it has. But you're looking at it going, nah, people are saying that it's the same fucking game. How do you know? Ever done a lick of fucking research yourself to find that out?
Now, I think that is kind of a short-sighted way to look at the game. It definitely has a lot of innovation and things in it that's different from Breath of the Wild.
And yet he's trying to find a way to say, oh, but it was good, guys, even though he just said that, oh, it's just the same as Breath of the Wild.
But, you know, I can see both sides of the fence. Let's put it that way.
No, you really can't see both sides of the fence. You cannot see other people's perspectives. It's either your way or the fucking highway.
I can totally see people saying one way or the other way. I get it. Personally, I liked the game, but
No, you didn't. Stop right there. You did not fucking like it, Phil. We've seen the evidence of you not liking the game, calling everything in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom as bloat. That Nintendo made a bloated game that could have been 50 hours that they pushed to 100. You said this.
I wasn't in love with it like a lot of other people. I certainly felt like there was a lot of padding and a lot of unnecessary content because they wanted the game to feel like a 100-hour game.
See what I mean? He just brought it up. I was going to find a clip for it too, but he already just said it for me.
When in reality, it was around a 40-hour game with 60 hours of shit you just never need to do. So,
even though that's a good way to actually build up Link, trying to build up his offense, defense, health, equipment, there's a lot of things that you could do to actually make yourself better at the game, Phil. Plus, Nintendo was offering exploration. Hey, here's a big old map to explore. Go fuck around. Go find some shit. That's essentially what they were doing with it, Phil, but you didn't want anything to do with it because, oh my god, this game is too long. Why couldn't they make it shorter?
You know, it is what it is. I still enjoyed the game a lot and enjoyed my playthrough of it, okay? So when I'm looking at all of these games, right? So let's do it again. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Mario Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom, right? Well, wait a minute. I don't get it. Why is Street Fighter 6 not in there? Street Fighter 6 is the best fighting game in a decade. It's got everything that everyone wanted. It's got better graphics, better gameplay, insanely good online connections, way better, best in class than any other fighting game before it. It's got a wide cast of characters. It's got all awesome modes, right? You've got your online community mode with the lobbies where you can make your own avatar and fight avatars against each other. You got a story mode that's unprecedented in a fighting game, open world. You can play for 20 to 30 hours. It's got everything any fighting game player would ever want, right?
I love the fact that he had to immediately chill out Street Fighter 6. Like, Phil, I had no idea that you were sucking off Capcom to bring out all these beautiful praises about Street Fighter 6. Best in class, best fucking single player mode, which actually nobody gave a fuck about. And thank you, gaming journalists, for that one, and many other people that have played the fucking game. You're just sitting there going, why is that not on there? Phil, if you scroll down a little bit more to the best fighting game, it's right there.
Why would Street Fighter 6 not be nominated for Game of the Year?
Because it's a fighting game, Phil. It's very unprecedented to see a fighting game be nominated for Game of the Year. I mean, it's common fucking knowledge here.
Here's why. Because the flaw of these awards is that they're nominated by gaming journalists. Ladies and gentlemen, gaming journalists are not representative of the average gamer.
Neither are you, but you proclaim yourself to be the voice of the gamers!
They're just not. It's their job to cover certain games and write articles about them, okay?
They're telling people what to expect in the game. They're trying to give people a perspective of how this game is going to be and if it's worth your fucking time or not. That's what they're doing. They do a lot better job of selling a fucking video game than you do. Because every single time we've seen you play a video game and claim to enjoy it and that's the best of the best, you're either bored of the game, salty, and just cursing out the game devs saying that they didn't do a good fucking job.
Just on the merits of that, they can't play as many games as an average gamer because every game they play, they have to be analyzing and writing articles and shit about.
Well, yeah. Like a fucking journalist.
You understand? So since that's their job, they don't have time to play as many games as most other people. They actually have to play more in depth on the games they play, but they don't have the ability to play a wide variety of games, okay?
Again, they're journalists. That's their job, Phil.
Now, here's the funny part about this. Do you know that most gaming journalists don't play fighting games?
Again? How is this fucking relevant?
Yep. It's a fact. If you do the math, it's something like the statistic is something like 80% of gaming journalists never play a fighting game. That it's a very small niche of gaming journalists who cover the fighting game genre. So, if only 20% of the people who are eligible to nominate games for Game of the Year have played a fighting game this year, how would a fighting game ever be eligible for Game of the Year?
It wouldn't. Because common fucking knowledge says that those type of games will never be nominated for the Game of the fucking Year. But the games like Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Mario Bros. Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom have more of a fighting chance due to the fact that A, they've been out longer for some of those games, and also, they've been talked about a lot more than Street Fighter. The only time Street Fighter is ever discussed is if a new character is coming out. Sure, it got a lot of attention when it first came out, but after that, nothing. You didn't hear jack fucking shit about it. Unless it was Evo, then that's a different fucking story.
Right? However, what are the games that most gaming journalists did play? Well, you know, the long narrative-based ones. At least I dabbled in it. Even if I didn't play it to the end, I dabbled in it, right? Because it's the game that everyone else in the office was playing.
How do you know that's what was going on, Phil? What if they actually did play the game all the way through and they're going to their second or third playthrough of the game? Ever think about that one, Phil? Nah, you just like to think of things that fits your narrative.
This is, you know what I mean? So that's the problem here, is that just like you'll never get a racing game in there, you seriously will never get a first-person shooter in there.
Again, Phil, there's action game and best sports racing game categories for a reason.
You'll never will. You will only get RPGs, action games, you know, every once in a while a Nintendo game, first-party Nintendo game, that kind of stuff. That's all you will ever get as Game of the Year, because those are the more mainstream categories. And you'll get those every year nominated for Game of the Year, and everything else will get swept under the rug.
Not all the fucking time, Phil. One year they had Psychonauts 2 on there. The only reason why that was on there? Highest grossing fucking Kickstarter project, and people actually liked it, because it was another Psychonauts game. But he's looking at all this going, yeah, you'll have your Sony game, you'll have your Nintendo game, but you'll never have shooters or anything like that. But he's sitting there just going off of the Game of the Year list alone. Just those 6 games. And he's bitching about it. It's like, Phil, just read off the rest of the fucking nominees and move the fuck on.
Even if it's best in class, absolutely the best you've ever seen. Street Fighter 6 is literally the best fighting game in 10 years.
Uh-huh. But do people care about it? Well, besides you, there are mostly people out there that really don't care for fighting games because it's not their taste in games. But you're sitting there thinking that, oh, it should be on there because I liked it. Me.
But no one cares because, oh, it's a fighting game. So no way it could be Game of the Year. It's bullshit.
How is it bullshit? How is it bullshit that a fighting game will never be on the Game of the Year list? How? Even though there's a fighting game category for it. Yet you didn't look at it till later.
And again, it's just sad. It's not a fair assessment. I'll give you another assessment, okay?
No, Phil. What they're doing is somewhat of a fair assessment. Granted, it's all subjective. A lot of people out there will not agree with it. But at the same time, most people don't give a fuck about the Game Awards. Instead, when they watch it, they just want to see what the new trailers are coming out. What new games are going to come out in 2024 or 2025. That's all they really care about. But you're sitting there going, Oh, I don't care about the Game Awards, but let me just throw a big fucking rant about how Street Fighter 6 was not nominated for Game of the fucking Year.
I know for a fact that some of the people who get to vote for Game of the Year haven't played most of these games. Here's an example, all right? There's people who are allowed to vote for all these categories who are accessibility consultants, okay? People who actually consult on games for things like blindness accessibility, audio accessibility, things like that, okay?
Yeah, the innovation for accessibility. Yeah, makes sense.
For most of these games, like some of these aren't even accessible. To my knowledge, like Mario Wonder isn't accessible, right? It's not at all. It doesn't have any accessibility options. So if you're blind or you're hearing impaired, you can't play Mario Wonder, right?
Oh my God, Phil, what does that have to do with the fucking Game Awards?
Right? And some of these games I know for a fact did not have full accessibility options. So people who were, for example, sight impaired could not fully play Spider-Man 2. Barely could they even play it. Even though they tried to put in options. I saw some of the reviews. Like I saw Super Blind Man's review. He said you can't play it without sight assistance. There's no way you could play it. So if that—
Did you even look at the fucking review of it, Phil? Did you even look at his review when he said that? No, of course fucking not. But instead, if you go down to innovation and accessibility, it is fucking nominated for it. Yet Phil's in there going, oh, well, Spider-Man 2 isn't accessible, but yet it's nominated for it. My fucking God, you fucking numbnut!
that's the case, and these games are not accessible to those people, why are those people voting for Game of the Year? Right?
No, you're not fucking right, Phil! You said you're just talking incoherent! How much gin have you fucking drank, Phil? How many Advils have you popped and drank gin with? Please tell me it was too much.
That's the problem with the Game Awards. It's completely flawed. Who should be voting for the Game Awards? People who actually played all the fucking games.
Then why is it that it's open to the public to vote for these games, Phil? Why is that an option then? If it really was that, as you're claiming that it would be, they wouldn't put anyone to vote for it. The public wouldn't be able to vote for it, and it's just going to be those 120 gaming journalists that they have to vote for it. No one else. Fuck the public, right?
Right? So you name me one gaming journalist who actually played all 6 of these games. Name me one gaming journalist who also played the other great games this year that aren't on the list, right? And they should be the ones who nominate. And the truth is, probably 0. Because again, that's not what gaming journalism is about.
He's just looking at all of this, trying to figure out that if people say, hey, you did that, Phil, he would feel some gratification and stroke his little tiny e-dick to be like, yeah, you motherfuckers, I played all these games. Yeah, I played them all. Oh, I'm gonna burst.
With gaming journalism, you have people who work in your office or your publication who are specialists in certain things. You're the RPG person. You're the fighting game person. You're this person. You're that person. You're all specialists. If you're a specialist, you should only be an expert on the game genre you're an expert on, and that's what you should write about and review. Why the fuck are you nominating games for Game of the Year when you didn't play 90% of them?
My God, Phil. My fucking God. This isn't just a rant about the Game Awards. No, this is just Phil sitting here bitching and complaining about game journalism. Fuck you, IGN. Fuck you, GameSpot. Fuck you, all the other gaming journalists that I can't think of on the top of my head. You can't nominate any games. You can't vote for them because y'all don't play video games. Unlike me, Darkside Phil, who has a stream, who has a legacy of 15 years playing games and looking incredibly fucking bored and just doing it for a paycheck. I'm the one that should nominate them, not you motherfuckers.
Right? It literally doesn't make sense. Okay? The whole thing is flawed. But you want to know what it is? It is an insiders, inclusive, good old boys and girls club.
Oh, I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. How is it that you're bringing up the good old boys club again? You did it with the FGC, and now you're doing it with this. Oh my God, Phil. You can't think of anything else but the good old boys club, can't you? Oh, I can never be accepted in the good old boys club because they all hate me. I'm gonna fucking die.
Meaning, if you're in the industry, oh, you know, haha, you know, my buddy who I see at all the fucking press events and all the things, and we get all the shit sent to us for free by every, you know, oh, I got the new Steam Deck. Oh, I got the new fucking console for free. I got all the review copies of every game for free. Everything I get for free, right? It's that group. It's
oh my god, now he's going back to the people that are shills. He's making this about shills again. Phil, you want to know the main reason fucking why that they get all these and not you? It's because they have a better personality than you do. Better charisma. And people like that. Gaming industries like that. They like those type of people. That way, they know that the good personalities behind it are actually going to support it. And they're actually going to show it off to people. But you, Dark Side Filipio, is going to sit there and be like, well, I can't get any of these, but I'm the truest gamer out there. I can pick up a fucking controller and master it. I can master any game. And you're jealous of it. You are envious that you cannot have that, but everyone else can. Oh my god, Phil. You deluded motherfucker.
the inclusive group of golden people who are selected to be representative of the gaming community are the people who are nominating and voting on these awards.
Phil, since you're going to talk about golden children, weren't you sent over to E3 2012 by Machinima because you were considered the golden child for Machinima? Yeah, for someone sitting there that's going off saying that, oh, it's a bunch of golden people that are a part of the game industry nudging shoulders. Phil, you were a part of that, and you pissed it away. Stop looking at me like you're trying to fuck me, Phil. I'm already taken.
How can you then say that this is a true Game Award show, representative of the true quality of games? You can't.
Phil, it's a fucking show made for gamers. Do you not understand this? It is a presentation where they show off what they believe to be best of the best of 2023. Why the fuck do you think they have all these other categories? Fighting game, sports and racing, family game, VR, AR, games for impact, which actually has a social meaning behind it, a thought-provoking game. They have a lot of those categories there for a fucking reason, Phil, but you don't even see that. Instead, you're looking at the 6 games that are nominated for the coveted game of the fucking year. And let me tell you this, Phil, what can be considered game of the year is highly sub-fucking-jective. Most people out there will say that Alan Wake 2 is Game of the Year, Spider-Man 2, Mario Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and all the other games that are nominated, even Street Fighter. People will say that those are Game of the Year. But it's based around a person's opinion. You don't have to accept it. You can have your own. I mean, for God's sakes, don't you have your own shitty little award show calling the best and the worst of 2023? Just do that and shut up.
Because it's just 120 people who are just a good old boys and girls club who are all nudging each other about what we liked this year, blah, 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 blah. And you'll never get games like Street Fighter 6 nominated at all. You'll never be nominated for Game of the Year because it's a completely skewed system. And you'll have years where games are nominated that make no sense and years where games win that make no sense. And there's nothing you can do about it unless the system's changed. Unless people campaign to Jeff Keighley and say your system's insanely flawed.
They're not going to do that, Phil. Because at the end of the day, it's just an award show that people could just sit there, watch, applaud, and move the fuck on. And watch some pretty trailers for new games that are coming out, or they'll criticize the games that are coming out. That's all that it's going to be.
We don't want to know, out of your friend group, what your favorite game was. We actually want to know what the best game of the fucking year was.
I think Phil's only bringing that point up because he has no fucking friends.
But that's all it is. It's Jeff Keighley's friend group award show. That's literally what it is. And what's hilarious about it is, all right, every year they do have a fan viewer voting.
Why the fuck could you not bring that up sooner? Oh, right. You had to go on that fucking rant about the goddamn Game Awards!
Poll. And literally every year they do this, And the winner is completely different from what is selected by the Game Awards as Game of the Year. It never fails. The big contentious year was the year with The Last of Us 2, where the common gamer did not love The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, we know, Phil, and that's something that we can agree upon. For God's sake, the only time I'll ever agree with Phil on something is about The Last of Us fucking 2.
The common gamer thought it was alright, but didn't like a lot of the things that happened with the story of the game, didn't like the game direction, and did not like all of these political agendas shoved down your fucking throat when you played the game. The fucking guy who made the game, Neil Druckmann, made it political on purpose and even had campaigns on social media to vote for his game for Game of the Year to stick it to the haters who were anti-liberal. I'm not kidding you. Yes, this all happened that year. Okay? So what ended up happening was the gamers rallied and said, well, this is bullshit. Instead, let's actually nominate and vote for the game that's the true Game of the Year. You want to know what game won? Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, yeah. Again, I'm agreeing with you on this, Phil, and this is a fucking rarity for me to agree with you on this. Ghost of Tsushima is a lot fucking better than The Last of Us 2. Hell, Hades was a better game than Last of Us 2. All the games that were nominated for Game of the Year were better than fucking Last of Us 2. But yes, we will agree with this on that, Phil. We will. So please, just take the ball. But you know what? I'm going to take the ball back because I'm afraid you're going to drop it at any fucking moment.
A game that if you actually compare apples to apples of what was in both games, had a better story.
Also, it's apples to fucking oranges. How the fuck is it apples to apples, Phil? That's the same fucking thing.
Actually had more innovative and better gameplay elements, and in a lot of ways had better graphics.
Well, the whole thing with graphics, though, Phil, most people don't give a fuck about the graphics. Art style, visuals, different fucking story. Because a game can have a really good art style and a very good visual sense that it can look pretty. Doesn't have to be like the top-end graphics, but it can still look nice. But yet Phil wants to bring up graphics because he loves them graphics.
But it got brushed under the rug because all Jeff Keighley's friends wanted The Last of Us 2 to win because of political agendas that year. And that's what
I really don't think for that. That's why I gladly took the ball back. It was not because of political agendas with Jeff fucking Keighley. He just wants to make that point completely up.
I mean, that's the problem with the Game Awards. Okay? It's completely political. It's completely a friend club voting rather than it actually trying to credit the best games of the year. And that's sad.
Again, Phil, it's all based around subjectivity. All based around personal opinions. That's all it is. Now just take a sip of your fucking water and shut it!
Now, excuse me.
You're not excused. Every single time that you make those noises, I have to do this in return. So
now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, okay?
Yeah, my fucking God, it only took about 22 fucking minutes, and I feel like I've lost brain cells!
I'm okay with all of these Game of the Year contenders. It sucks that I didn't get to play Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, you never wanted to play Baldur's Gate 3, Phil. Instead, you looked at Starfield and said that was going to kill Baldur's Gate 3. But guess what? Baldur's Gate 3 completely stomped on fucking Starfield. So that point you made was completely fucking wrong.
And I can't really give you a 100% valid opinion.
Even though you were giving yourself the valid opinion by saying that it's one of the best RPGs and that other companies should take fucking Baldur's Gate 3's examples. They should follow the teachings of Larian Studios. But yet, at the end of that day, you never played Baldur's Gate 3. But instead, you'll defend it by saying it's one of the best RPGs without even touching it.
On all these games, because I haven't played Baldur's Gate. I'll tell you, I don't get why Resident Evil 4 is in there.
Oh my God, he's going back to Resident Evil 4. Phil, it's a remake of Resident Evil 4. It did a lot of things better than Resident Evil 4. It's one of the better looking Resident Evil 4s out there. And my fucking God, it's Capcom. Capcom can never go fucking wrong with it.
I don't think it should be. And outside of Resident Evil 4, if you were to ask me, okay, if you could eliminate one of these games, which one would you eliminate right now? Tears of the Kingdom. Just
Phil saying that I disagree where Resident Evil 4 remake is on this list, but fuck Tears of the Kingdom, even though I had a high disdain towards fucking Resident Evil 4 remake being on the list.
get it the fuck out of there. You know, I would tell you, Mario Wonder, Spider-Man 2, and Alan Wake 2 have all been way better game experiences for me than Tears of the Kingdom was.
And again, you are entitled to have that fucking opinion, even though, granted, when you play the games, you're very bored with them, going clown mode, and begging for money every single fucking time you play these games. But again, you're entitled to have your opinion.
Tears of the Kingdom was passably good.
Even though critics might say differently.
But...
And Nintendo fanboys.
It's just not resonating as something innovative or good enough. Tears of the Kingdom, in my opinion, is overrated by a lot of people, okay?
Well, then again, Phil, every single time you're bringing up marathons, you're overrating it to the highest capabilities, even your own fucking content. It's like, fucking goddamn, dude. And that's how he kind of ends that one with the fucking snort, doesn't he?
But I get why it's there.
Oh, goddamn it, he kept going.
You know? I can't attest to Baldur's Gate 3. There's nothing I can do about that. Honestly, if I could add a game, and this is just me off the top of my head.
What is it, Street Fighter 6?
This is not me speaking from personal experience looking at all the games that came out this year yet. But I would say if I could outright add a game, I'd probably add Hogwarts Legacy.
Why? Honestly, when it comes to RPGs, Hogwarts Legacy is not the best. But granted, I can see where you're going with it, but it's kind of like one of those ways to like stick it to the people, I guess.
Even though I feel like the final third of Hogwarts Legacy was inferior and the game fizzled out and ran out of ideas and was kind of boring.
Phil, did you even finish Hogwarts Legacy? Like, for God's sakes, I remember that you stopped playing it.
I think that the first 1 to 2 thirds of the game, with its world building and its innovation of having an interactive open world Harry Potter game, it nailed it. This is the game that every Harry Potter fan has always wanted. An interactive Hogwarts, school, a town around it, and all the lore and everything around it. Why on earth would that game not be nominated for a Game of the Year contender? All right?
But, Phil, here's the thing with that, though. There are a lot of other RPGs that came out that are way fucking better. Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, take it or leave it, Lies of Peace, Sea of Stars even. Those games are 100 times percent better. But yet he's looking at a game that he never finished and he wants that to be Game of the fucking Year or a contender for it. And a lot of people in his chat saying Lies of P. And Phil Dick Road Lies of P, actually.
Here's another one. Why the holy hell would Lies of P not be on there?
He only brought up Lies of P because looking right here, there are people on here that are saying Lies of P, Lies of P, Lies of P. And there's many in Lies of P. There are many people in there that are telling him Lies of P. But hey, Phil, let me tell you something. Lies of P is on the best RPG category. Why don't you fucking look down it?
Lies of P gave us exactly what we've wanted for the longest time. Bloodborne 2.
Heavily debatable.
That's literally what Lies of P is. And it runs super well no matter what format you play it. It's got multiple ways to play it because of the different builds and things. It's got innovation when it comes to certain combat elements and things like that. Even
though you were bitching and complaining about the combat, saying that you dodged and yet you still got hit every single time that you play a Souls-like game. But again, it's essentially a FromSoft clone. That's all that Lies of P really is. But Phil wants to sit there and be like, why is Lies of P not on there? It is. Called best RPG category.
It's exactly what everyone has wanted for essentially almost a decade. Since Sony and FromSoft wouldn't give it to us, they gave it to us. It actually has an insanely good story too. So why would Lies of P not be in there, right? And that's what I mean. Like, when you're looking at some of these games, you're like, I don't understand how Resident Evil 4 is on there. Yeah, because game journalists all played it. That's the answer. How many game journalists played Lies of P? Again, not many. Why? Because it's not a mainstream FromSoft game. If Lies of P was made by From Software, it would be on this list.
That's heavily debatable on that, Phil. RPG category? Yes. Would it be on Game of the Year category? That's heavily debatable, Phil. But again, you're just speaking out of your ass about all of this. And you went back saying, I don't understand why Resident Evil 4 is on there. It's because gaming journalism. Even though Resident Evil 4 Remake was one of the most highly anticipated remakes.
But because these are game journalists who nominate these games, and Lies of P was considered an indie studio that made it, and no one really knew if it was going to be good or not a lot of game journalists played it. Therefore, by default, it can't be nominated.
Phil, did you forget that there was a demo for Lies of P? They could play the demo and be like, okay, this game is good, let's review it. But no, you're just gonna sit there and go, yeah, they never played it, didn't touch it, they have no idea who made it.
Do you see the problem with this system?
Phil, there is no problems with these systems, though. You're making it into a big fucking deal about it. And I have to react to it, though. I have to endure your fucking madness. And I need to take some fucking Tylenol after this, too.
That's the problem. But if it was FromSoft, all the game journalists would have played it and it would have been nominated for sure.
Again, how the fuck would you know? All right, you don't know because you're just talking out of your ass again.
You get it? So, I mean, I could keep going on and on about the flaws of this system and why it's not legit. It's bullshit, okay? Taking a look, I'm just curious if you take a look at some of these games. Let's take a look at Best RPG.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's talking about why is Lies of P not Game of the Year, and yet now he's looking at the fucking categories. About fucking time.
So, nominees for Best RPG. Baldur's Gate 3.
Which I'm going to say might win Best RPG as Game of the Year, but it's very subjective and it's kind of out there.
Final Fantasy 16.
Might not have a chance.
Lies of P.
Won't have a chance against Baldur's Gate 3. Why are you staring at me like you're my drunk uncle, Phil? Stop it!
Lies of P. Lies of P is not a fucking RPG.
Yes, it is, Phil. Yes, it fucking is. I mean, for God's sakes, I can look it up right now, and I can tell you what the genre is. And why is it that I typed in that? Okay, let's go back. Lies of P. Lies of P is a Souls-like action role-playing game. It's an RPG, Phil!
And it's nominated for Best RPG. Do you see my problem with this system?
What problem is there? It's an RPG! Move on!
The game journalists are so stupid, they nominated the game in the wrong fucking category.
Well, no, they fucking didn't! It's an RPG! You level up your character, you work on the endurance, you work on the vigor, you work on the intelligence. You build up your stats as you level up. So yes, by all fucking means, it's an RPG.
You'd have to be a moron to say that Lies of P is an RPG.
Well, you gotta be a fucking Nimrod to say that it's not.
You see? Sea of Stars and
Is an RPG.
Starfield.
Starfield is also considered an RPG.
Okay.
And yes, even though granted, Sea of Stars is also nominated for Best Indie Game, it's still considered an RPG, Phil.
How about, let's see here. How about Best Multiplayer Game of the Year?
Oh my god, he's gonna really go into this, isn't he?
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes, it has multiplayer, Phil. If you did a look of fucking research, you would have known this.
Did I click on the right category?
You did.
Baldur's Gate 3. Diablo 4.
Again, has multiplayer.
Party Animals. Street Fighter 6. And Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Mario Brothers Wonder does have multiplayer, Phil. Has online play, also has local play. It has multiplayer. Why is it that you're fucking confused about this?
Oh! Alright, let's go back to the categories.
Why did you have to do that fake goat laugh? Or that fake ta-ha-ha-ha-ha ack laugh? I mean, they all have multiplayer, Phil. What's the problem?
Holy fucking shit.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm feeling right about now, Phil. Holy fucking shit. The stupidity that just comes out of your mouth.
Oh, here. This is always a great category. You ready? Best Content Creator of the Year.
Oh, God. He's going to go right into this and be jealous that all these people are more successful and popular than him.
Ready? Iron Mouse.
Yeah, he knows who Iron Mouse is, but he wants to pretend and look like a fucking clown just because, oh, it's fun, you guys.
People Make Games.
Phil, every single time you want to make that fucking dumbass face, I just want to punch it.
Quackity, this year nominated. Even though Quackity's been in the gaming community for how many years, this year nominated.
Well, here's the thing with that, though, Phil. A lot of people that are part of the community or part of the content creation, most of the time they don't really get a voice or they get anything pedestal to stand on. So if they get on there, they must have done something to get that spot.
Spreen?
Yeah, it's one letter away from spleen, where you should be punched.
And Cypher PK. That name rings a bell somewhat. I don't even know what kind of content they do.
I think Cypher PK is someone that he watches, and he's trying to feign ignorance. Call it a hunch.
So I know about Quackity and Cypher PK, right?
He probably knows them because he watches them. Again, call it hunch.
But again, you tell me, right? That's what I mean. Like, let's see here.
I love the fact that he's like, you tell me. Come on, guys, you tell me. He just moves the fuck on. Phil, do you want people to give you an opinion on something? Because, my fucking God, I can just imagine you're the kind of guy that would just come up to someone, it's like, hey, how's your day doing? And they're about to tell you. It's like, okay, fuck you, bye.
I'm curious, like, what else? Oh, this is a good category. Best performance. I actually enjoy this category because it takes a serious, dramatic take on games. Who's the best actor in a game this year? We've got...
Well, then again, the reason why you're bringing that up, though, Phil, is because you're reminded of Project 7, and you think you're an actor when you're really not. Because your acting sucks.
Ben Starr for Final Fantasy 16. I'm assuming that was the main character.
Yes, he was fucking Clive. He's always on Twitter as fucking Clive, talking. He's not bad.
Of the game. Cameron Monaghan for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the title character, the titular character.
Yeah, he was the titular character of Star Wars. His name was Jedi Survivor.
Idris Elba for Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. I didn't play it. I can't.
Nope, because you hate fucking Cyberpunk. You even said that you hate it because of side titties and all the debauchery. I'm married. I can't look at that.
Really attest to that. Melanie Liburd for Alan Wake 2. She played Saga Anderson.
How is it that you know about this, Phil? Oh, right, you saw the end credits, and that's the only reason why you were somewhat remember that name.
Neil Newbin for Baldur's Gate 3. I didn't play it, so I have no idea what character he played. And
yeah, Neil Newbon, he played Asterion, a.k.a. the Rogue, the Vampire Rogue. Everyone knows who he is, but apparently Phil doesn't, because apparently he loves to defend Baldur's Gate 3 without even touching it.
And Yuri Lowenthal, who played Peter Parker in Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
Well, no duh. His voice is very distinct.
That is your nominees for Best Performance. Honestly, you know, I didn't see Idris Elba, and I didn't see Neil Newbin. If I had to pick, if I had to pick between all these, honestly, I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this one. I'd probably pick Cameron Monaghan for...
Yeah, I would definitely disagree with you that, Phil. Honestly, if I had to say the best performances, I would have to go with Yuri Lowenthal on that. Because, honestly, he nails Spider-Man every single fucking time. He is a good voice for Spider-Man. But granted, Ben Starr, really good voice actor and plays Clive really fucking well. Saga did a good job too. And all these other people. But I would have to lean towards Yuri Lowenthal.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor, even though the game was super flawed.
Yeah, he hated that fucking game. He wanted to punch a developer in the fucking nuts.
I think the guy's great. He does a great job as that character. He's a good actor.
Okay, Phil, he's a good actor. Name 3 things that he was a part of that he did besides Jedi Survivor. Oh, go on, do it, Phil. I bet you fucking can't.
And he did a good job in the role. I don't think that anything in Final Fantasy 16 is worth nominating at all.
Even though the performances of Final Fantasy 16 were not that bad, in my opinion.
Oh, sorry. I thought Saga's Anderson's character was fine in Alan Wake 2. Personally, I actually think that the actor who played Alan Wake did a better job than her. But he's not nominated. She is for some reason. And Yuri Lowenthal, he's...
So you don't like it that the voice actress for Saga was nominated, but the person for Alan Wake should have been nominated? Phil, are you trying to tell us something?
Good as Spider-Man, but I don't know. I just think that Cameron did a better job. So...
Yuri Lowenthal did a better job in my opinion. But again, Phil, you can have your opinion, I can have my opinion. People might not agree with my take on it, but hey, that's what an opinion is all about. Everyone has one, like an asshole. But the problem is with you, Phil, is that your asshole is right on your face.
I think Cameron Monaghan should be the best performance of the year, in my opinion, but I don't know who's going to win that. So, this is always a great one. Games for impact. So you know what this means? Progressive games. That's exactly, they should just name it that. Like progressive liberal games.
No, that's not even close to what that means. It means that they're providing a thought-provoking experience and providing something that has a deep social meaning. That's the reason why it's called Games for Impact. I mean, for God's sakes, Phil, if you look at the fucking nominations and look at the description of it, you can clearly see why. But again, Phil doesn't want to do that.
That's what it should be called, because that's all. I mean, there's no reason to not call it that. That's what it is. And there's nothing wrong with calling it that, because there should be games like this. I've always said this. There is room in video games for everything.
But yet, every single time that they do something, you don't like it. So immediately, that whole argument about how, oh, games should have everything that you're saying, it's going to be immediately tossed out because you're a fucking hypocrite.
There is. There's enough people out there, there's enough of a fan base, enough of a player base to play any kind of game. If you want to admit that your games are liberal and they're trying to be progressive, just say that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, there is, Phil. If you're coming out and saying that your game is talking about political topics, no one would be interested. They would tune it the fuck out. That is the reason why they splice it into the story. They write it in. They don't want to flat out say, hey, it's a progressive liberal type of game. Because people would not be interested in it.
Just admit it. Why call it Games for Impact? Why are you trying to rename it something?
Phil, they've had this category for years, and now you're calling it into consideration. Why it's called Games for Impact.
There's nothing wrong with just being outright of what your game is, okay? However, here's the games. A space...
Yeah, please, do.
Space for the Unbound.
Good game. Highly recommend. And again, Phil's making those little dumbass faces because apparently he didn't play it.
Chance of Sonar. Goodbye, Volcano High.
I mean, granted, I know of the game. I don't want to play it, but I can understand why it's on that category. I understand why, but Phil doesn't, because he can't see perspectives.
Tchia.
No, it's not called Tchia. It's just called Chia.
Terra Nil.
Which is a civilization game. And Phil, don't look at me like that, because it just makes me want to give you a bloody nose.
And Venba.
Venba is actually a really good game. It's based around an Indian family, and the whole premise of it is cooking food, because it tells a story through it. But Phil does not understand that, because he'll never play these fucking games. Not even if they were free on Game Pass. He would never touch them.
Oh, I see. Games literally no one played. I get it now.
You're generalizing again, Phil. You're looking at this category and say that nobody played these games, even though people have already played these games. But yet you're generalizing that they didn't.
Never heard of a single one of those. Well, okay, I heard of Goodball Volcano High, and we all made fun of it, and no one played it.
Yeah, because when they first brought it out, it looked poorly made, and it had a really stupid narrative. But because of what they received, according to what happened, they had to go back to the drawing board and fix it. And from what I hear, it's improved a little bit, but am I going to touch it? Just
What else do we want to look at here? Man. I don't even know what to look at here. What do you guys think we should look at?
What do you guys think we should look at? Come on, guys. I don't want to look through all these. Come on, guys. Tell me. What should I look at?
What categories? Best indie game? Best indie game of the year? Cocoon, I didn't play. Dave the Diver, I didn't play. Dredge, I didn't play. Sea of Stars, I didn't play. And Viewfinder, I didn't play.
Well, go fucking figure, because it's not a AAA release. Because if you looked at all those games, you're not going to fucking play them. Maybe Sea of Stars, and if you do touch Sea of Stars, I swear to fucking God, people are going to get very upset with you.
So there you go. Can't say anything about that, right?
Well, then again, don't say anything. Oh, well, no! Come on! I have to know what he says about the other games! Come on! God damn it, I gotta go to the source now, don't I? Forgive me, Father, for I will sin. I'm about to go to the source of this fucking piglet, so I have to know what he says about the rest of the fucking nominees. Forgive me for my transgressions. Amen.
Best score? Okay, best score in music. Cool. Alan Wake 2, I mean, dude, not only does it have an excellent score, it has all those real songs from Poets of the Fall, right, that are absolutely outstanding. It had 3 or 4 real songs in it that are super good.
Even though Poets of the Fall are actually a fake band, I believe. But at the same time, Alan Wake does have a good soundtrack, but still, you didn't really enjoy the music. You're just going to pretend that you liked it.
Baldur's Gate 3, I don't know because I didn't play it.
Like always.
Final Fantasy 16, like, I'll be honest, some of the music of Final Fantasy 16 was good, but none of it really resonated. Like I said, when I was playing other Final Fantasy games, I can usually remember parts of the soundtrack. I don't really remember anything of the Final Fantasy 16 soundtrack. You know, when I was playing it, I remember the battle theme because it was so fucking repetitive. It droned through your head constantly. But the moment I beat the game, I don't remember any of it. It just...
Yeah, I love the fact that he says he doesn't remember any of it, but we all know why he doesn't remember it. It's the gin.
Just completely cleared out my head. I don't remember it at all. Hi-Fi Rush. That I will agree on. Hi-Fi Rush, that had a game that was in line with its music. Like, its music was part of the core elements of the gameplay. So it makes sense to say that that's one of the best games. And then, Tears...
Okay, so continue on with Hi-Fi Rush. Phil, didn't you say that that game came out in January? And any games that came out in January, nobody talks about and it gets brushed under the rug? Huh, very hypocritical coming from you.
To the Kingdom, you know what? Out of all those, for me, it's between Alan Wake 2 and Hi-Fi Rush.
Well, then again, you just like to say you like music, but in reality, we all know you don't like music. You just like Cat's tribal music.
And honestly, I would probably give it to Hi-Fi Rush. I would.
Well, then again, Hi-Fi Rush does have a good soundtrack, but the problem with you, Phil, is that you could not keep a fucking tempo with it. You couldn't keep the rhythm with it. Every single time, you're missing combos because you can't keep the rhythm.
Because that game, again, the music was part of the gameplay and was very important to the gameplay, so I would give it to Hi-Fi Rush. If that were my choice.
Yeah, totally your choice. You don't remember it. Now chew water. Yum.
Geez. Best narrative.
When it comes to best narrative, Phil, it's talking about the story. Come on, Phil.
Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and Marvel Spider-Man 2. I swear people who nominated Final Fantasy 16 didn't fucking play another RPG ever. If you think that's like the best narrative, do you read?
Do you fucking read? You fucking peasant? Did you read and put Final Fantasy 16 as best narrative for a video game and that's an RPG? It's like, Phil, there's also Baldur's Gate 3.
Do you play games?
Do you? But granted, every time you play a video game, you're bored and you want to get a paycheck out of it.
Or was this the only game you've played in like 17 years? I could tell you 400 stories better than Final Fantasy 16. Like,
okay, Phil, list all 400 of them. Oh, right, you can't because you love to over-exaggerate, like always.
Like, I just don't get it. Why people think it's so good.
Again, Phil, it's based around subjectivity. People might like it, people might not. Again, let people have their own personal taste, please.
But, again, I didn't play Baldur's Gate 3. I certainly didn't play Phantom Liberty. So I can't really chime in on that. I would say out of all those, Alan Wake 2.
Well, the only reason why you'll pick Alan Wake 2 is because that's the one that's most remembered because you recently beat it.
Out of those that I know, Alan Wake 2 definitely would be for me. Mobile game? Oh
no, mobile game? WWE Champions, where?
Probably not going to know any of these. Best mobile game.
If it's not WWE Champions, I'm out.
Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, Hello Kitty Island Adventures, Honkai Star Rail, Monster Hunter Now, and Terra Nil. I play none of those. So
no, you don't play any of those. If it's not WWE Champions, then it gets the fuck out.
I don't know anything about them. There you go.
Oh god, he's blowing into the mic again. And he picked off the booger from his mustache. We all know that's what he did. God damn it.
Best ongoing?
Yes, Phil. That means a game that's been going on for fucking years. That's what that means.
Apex Legends, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. I guess those make sense.
Well, how possibly can it make sense, Phil? It's not like they've been around for fucking years.
For ongoing games, sure, those make sense. I'll agree with those nominees.
Yeah, I'll agree with those nominees, but I'm not going to tell you what my nominee pick will be. Oh, he's going over to ban somebody. Come on, Phil, say something.
Okay.
Oh, he's chewing on his nail.
Final Fantasy 14 will win again. It wins every year. I don't disagree with those nominees at all.
I don't disagree with any of those nominees, but I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to pick.
Innovation and accessibility.
Oh, hey, it was that one thing that he kept going on about how Spider-Man 2 is not on there and it can't win because apparently Super Blind Man said it doesn't work.
Oh, this is cool. Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and Street Fighter 6. So I know for a fact that Super Blind Man had a hand in both Forza Motorsport and Mortal Kombat 1. So he's got like a 33% chance to win in this category, which is really cool.
Oh my god, Phil, you're dick riding him ever so fucking hard right now. And you've talked shit about him before. He got a PS5 for fucking free, and you still are dick riding him, even though you hate people who are shills.
I hope he wins. From what I'm to understand.
Wait, I hope he wins? Phil, it's gonna be the people that made the game. He only just was like a consultant for accessibility. He's not gonna win this award. They're not gonna give an award specifically for Super Blind Man. They're not.
Dan, Forza Motorsport is the first ever fully blind accessible driving game. And so many people who are blind or are sight impaired have been playing the game and absolutely enjoying it. So if anything, that's huge innovation.
Huh, so it seems like a kind of game that you enjoy. Because every single time you're playing a video game, you're missing everything, and you're not seeing things clearly, but you claim that they're doing something that they're really not.
That's humongous innovation.
I think he's going to go ban someone again.
I think that should be what wins. For sure.
Did you ever play it?
I think that he should get a prominent highlight and award for the work he did, in my opinion.
How do you know he even worked on it, Phil? Did you even ask him if he worked on it? No.
But that's my opinion. I'm biased, of course, because, you know.
Oh, you know fucking shit, you're biased.
The guy's been someone who I've had a very great relationship with for many years, and I wish him the best. You know, he's doing the important work, as they say.
Even though he got a PS5 for fucking free. And yet, some reason you have a high respect for him. Right.
Right.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for saying right.
Best action game. Armored Core 6. Okay.
Well, that is considered an action game, Phil.
Dead Island 2. That's one I skipped.
Well, yeah, you skipped it and you made a big bitch fit about it.
Ghost Runner 2, I didn't even know that came out.
Well, then again, that's not your kind of game, Phil.
Hi-Fi Rush and Remnant 2.
Yep, Remnant 2 he did not play. He doesn't even want to touch games like that because that game is better with friends.
Well, Lies of P should be in there, but...
Even though it's an RPG, Phil. Granted, action RPG, but it's mostly an RPG.
Again, gaming journalists have no idea how to categorize games because they're fucking morons.
Going back to the game journalist hate I see.
And if Lies of P was in there, it would win. Out of these games here, I would go Armored Core 6. But
then again, Phil, you did not want to play Armored Core 6 until someone gave it to you, and you had no choice but to play it because, I can get monies off of this.
There you go. Oh
my god, Phil, you are a fucking pig. Why couldn't you just mute your mic if you knew it was going to come out? Oh, right. Forgot. Because it's Phil.
Best action adventure game. Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, shit.
Yeah, the reason why that's called action-adventure type games, Phil, why it's called that, is because not only is it an action game, but you can also explore around in its worlds, creating a sense of adventure. I think Phil doesn't understand this.
That's a tough one for me. They're all great games.
But yet he doesn't like Tears of the Kingdom, though. So you're calling bullshit.
I would say either Alan Wake 2 or Spider-Man 2 probably would be my take. You know, Jedi Survivor, I feel, would be so good, but it didn't run well. It ran so poorly and had so many graphical issues. I can't fucking think of it in a much of a positive light. It had a great story, it had great gameplay elements, and the game ran like dog shit. So how can you say it's a good game? They fucked it up with the graphics, and that really killed it for me.
Again, Phil, you're going to go on what you played when you got it on day fucking 1. Later on, they updated it so it actually ran a little bit better. But again, you don't want to do a lick of research.
No.
I'm going back. Like, look at this face.
Fucked it up with the graphics, and that really killed it for me.
Just look at that fucking face. Just look at that, and oh my god, he still has that pimple right there. He still has that fucking pimple right there, and he has one on his face right here too. Goddamn, Phil, do you not know how to wash your fucking face?
No, Lies of P got shafted because they categorized it as an RPG.
Which, Phil, it is an RPG. My fucking god, Phil, you're making me want to have an aneurysm right now.
Journalists don't fucking know games.
Okay, we got it. You hate gaming journalists. We get it now. Get off your fucking hatred high horse and move on.
They shouldn't be doing these awards. They miscategorized the game, and no one's going to vote for Lies of P for RPG because it's not a fucking RPG. So the game got fucked because journalists are fucking morons.
Sorry, I'm taking a little break from Phil with this, but for people that are going to comment in the video, please, is Lies of P an RPG? Because I'm saying it's an RPG, but Numbnuts over there wants to say that it's not an RPG, that it's an action game. Because Phil is a fucking idiot.
Here's the last one we'll do. All right? Most anticipated upcoming game.
I love how Phil just looks at all the fucking nominations, but skips the majority of the categories and only does the ones that he thinks that people would care about.
And the nominees are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Star Wars Outlaws, and Tekken 8.
Some of those games I could see why it would be on the list, but Star Wars Outlaws, don't know really much about it, so eh.
Do I really have to say it? Should I even say it?
He's probably going to say Tekken 8.
Shall I? You ready? Because we all want to say it together.
Get on with it, numbnuts. Get the fuck on with it.
In 3, 2, 1.
Okay, Phil, before you get on with this, even I'm stopping myself from this. I hate when he does this stupid countdown like, okay, guys, you want me to say it? I'll definitely say it, guys. Okay, count 3, let's go.
Grand Theft Auto 6, you fucking idiots.
You're not funny. You're not fucking funny.
Grand Theft Auto 6 is more anticipated than any of these games times 20.
It highly depends on subjectivity. Yet again, Phil, a lot of people want to play Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. People want to play Tekken 8. People want to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. People want to play Star Wars Outlaws, whatever the fuck that is. People want to play these games because they're wanting to play them. They've been an announcement for a while, and they're showing off teasers of them. So, all of these games are on there. Have a chance. But again, it's all based around a personal opinion, which you don't understand.
So, they fucked up. I mean, how could you not have GTA 6 on the list when it was just officially announced by Rockstar?
Because it, I don't know, didn't make it past the fucking cutoff date?
It's dunce level shit. They absolutely should have had it on this list. And it's not even on there. Alright? But, out of these games, I would say for sure Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Phil, didn't you hate Final Fantasy VII Remake? Like, we've seen all the evidence of you hating that fucking game, Phil. We've seen you play it, and you did not like any of it. And I was actually hoping he would say Tekken 8, because that's a fighting game, and I'd like Tekken 7.
For sure, that's the most anticipated game. And listen, as much as I like a Dragon, and Infinite Wealth is going to be an outstanding game, nah, people want Final Fantasy VII more than that.
There are some people that I actually talk to that want Tekken 8 more than fucking Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But again, that's all personal opinions.
So,
oh my god, I'm just gonna move the fuck on from this. God damn, the goddamn Tylenol, help me! After stepping away and recovering just for a little bit, I'm not gonna end it off there. Instead, I'm gonna end it off where apparently he really got upset because of what shirt he was wearing. I'm not even fucking kidding.
And by the way, I'll answer this because some people have been asking. Everyone's mentioning the shirts, right? So, basically, I have like 2 different kinds of clothing that I've been wearing in the fall. The first are like nice button-down shirts, right? And those are nice. They look nice. It's something you would wear out when you're going out or whatever.
But yet, every single time that you wear them, though, it's clear as day you do not know how to take care of those shirts at all. I mean, for God's sakes, do you and your wife know how to work a fucking iron? I mean, for God's sakes, they're wrinkly as fucking shit. And every time you wear them, though, you look like that homeless guy that's like walking around the streets, but you're thinking you're making a name for yourself. The way that it looks presentable. But at the same time, we all know that you're a fucking grifter because you pull out the cup and you say, give me money.
The other shirts I've been wearing are ones like this. This is actually a sweater from Uniqlo. I told you guys, before I moved to Washington State, a store had opened up in my local mall in Connecticut. It was called Uniqlo. It's a Japanese designer clothing store.
Before he goes on with this story, nobody really cares and nobody fucking asked. He only wants to bring it up though because he's like, hey guys, I'm wearing long sleeve shirts. Oh, don't mind the moves though. No, those are fucking pecs.
And at that point, I lived in Connecticut. It was very cold in Connecticut all the time, particularly during, the winter months. So
no shit. That's how weather works, Phil. During the winter, it's gonna get fucking cold.
So I went there and I spent a lot of money. This is back in the day, when I had a lot of money. I was a YouTuber. I was making tons of money back then, not like today. And
thanks, Al Bundy, for that history lesson about how you were once successful. Now, how many times you're going to tell us about that one little instant where you won 4th place at EVO and that you were Machinima's golden child?
Basically, I went there and I bought a whole wardrobe. I bought, I'm not kidding, 10 of these sweaters, right? And I bought shirt, like form-fitting shirts and all of this. Now, here's the thing.
Honestly, that doesn't look like a fucking sweater. Instead, it looks like one of those slim-fitting long-sleeve shirts that it's supposed to make you look good and it makes you feel good, but when Phil wears them, though, he doesn't look good. He looks deformed.
I didn't care how I looked. Back then, I wasn't on camera all the time, right? I didn't give a shit. So I just bought whatever I wanted to wear. I didn't care about what people would say about my looks or whatever, right? I didn't care. Now, here's the thing.
Well, clearly you do, because every single time that people look at you, they want to make fun of you by the way that you look. So, yes, you did fucking care. But now you're saying that you don't care about it anymore, and that people are complimenting you about every way that you fucking look. It's like, Phil, you don't even look that good at all. At fucking best, you're a Connecticut 4. And in Washington, you're probably a Washington 3.
Uniqlo, as you can see, is not thick. Look how thin that is. You see how thin this is? It's a very light sweater.
Yeah, it's not a sweater then, Phil. That's a long sleeve fucking shirt.
But it is a specialized technology where it's very small threads and it form fits to your body and it's incredibly comfortable and soft and warm.
I'm sorry. Specialized technology. The threading is specialized technology that it looks like a sweater when it really isn't. And then it feels soft and warm. Well, no fucking shit, Phil. That's what long sleeve shirts like that are supposed to do.
It's all about comfort and warmth. That's what Uniqlo's about. They even have shirts that are very thin shirts.
God's sake, Phil. That shirt may be thin, but that snort was very thickly robust.
Excuse me. They have shirts that are very thin shirts, but they keep you warm. They call it heat tech or therm tech or something like that. It's a unique technology. So, no exaggeration, right before I moved here to Washington State about 9 years ago, I bought a wardrobe of these Uniqlo clothes.
Out of those 13 credit cards, Phil, which one was designated towards your wardrobe? Because I think it was the 5th one.
Right? And then I moved out here, and I changed everything. Like, everything changed. Like, I started, you know, only wearing t-shirts and stuff, because out here it's a lot warmer. It's more moderate weather out here than it was in Connecticut. In Connecticut, it was always super cold, snowy, icy winters all the time. And rather than having the heat blasting, I would wear clothes like this all the time to stay warm. So,
again, Phil, nobody fucking cares. Now go back to your snort. Robust.
Basically, I have this wardrobe of clothes, all right? And some people are like, well, I don't understand, because when he wears the button-down shirts, he looks good. But then when he wears shirts like this, oh, it's not flattering or whatever, because he actually has pecs, right?
Phil, those aren't fucking pecs. That's flab. You have fucking flab, man. Moobgate 2023 is approaching us now, right now. It's because of you, Phil. Also, going back to when you said you were flattering, you were never a flattering person to begin with. You never looked attractive. Back in the day when you first started doing this, you did not look attractive. You look like Bobby Hill if he was missing a few fucking chromosomes.
Oh, and you could see, oh, look, I see his nipple through the shirt.
No one said this. No one said that we can see her nipples. But here's the thing with that, though. I think he's been looking into detractor content a little bit more, and someone found a fucking Photoshop of the see-through shirt. That's why he's bringing up the nipples. So when Phil tells you he's not looking at detractor content, he's fucking looking at detractor content.
You really think I care about this shit?
Yes, clearly, because you talked about it.
Dude, I'm 41 years old. I'm not.
And I'm about to be 30 fucking 2. And I don't give a fuck what I look like. But clearly you do. The narcissist that wants to sit there and say, I used to be a somebody. I'm still popular, guys. I'm more happier in my life than anyone else out there. Those detractors are fucking losers. But meanwhile, detractors are doing better in their fucking life than you are.
A fucking fashion model. I'm comfortable in my body.
Clearly not, due to the fact that your skin sack of a fucking skin suit is fucking deformed. God damn it, Phil. Oh my god, I'm about to have a fucking aneurysm.
I don't care about this stuff at all. I care about comfort.
Clearly you do. Because when someone kept saying, you look good, Phil, you're like, I don't really care about it. My wife tells me I look good. I don't care about it. It's like, Phil never knew how to accept a compliment from anybody. So he wants to pull up this front that he doesn't give a fuck, when in reality, he clearly gives a fuck.
I have these clothes that I've had for a decade, literally not worn, right? I want to wear the clothes that are comfy and warm.
Well, you do that in your own private time, Phil, but when you're streaming, you know, for your job, you're supposed to dress to impress. This isn't impressive, Phil. This is fucking disgusting. It's like, my fucking god, man. Like, what more can we fucking say about your fucking disgusting body?
Because I bought them, right? Why do I give a shit about how I appear? I'm not trying to be a model for you. You understand? I'm just like you. I'm a gamer. I'm playing games. I'm trying to enjoy and be comfortable in my own skin and in my own home when I'm playing these games.
Phil, stop right there. The reason why I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper is because the shit that you're saying is just completely fucking asinine. You don't give a fuck of what you look like. You're a gamer and you're here to entertain people. But yet, you put yourself out there as a public persona. You are Darkside Phil. You are Philip Paul fucking Burnell. You are putting yourself on the fucking internet. Your face and body known. Granted, chest up. But you are putting yourself out there and people could see what you look like. And that's the reason why people can make fun of you for it. But the problem is that you don't want to make fun of yourself. You never look at yourself like you're fucking disgusting. You never have any moments of self-fucking reflection. And instead, every single time people make fun of you for the way you look, you can't take a fucking joke. Instead, you gotta make a big fucking fiasco about it. Oh, people talking about my nipples. People talking about my pecs. No, Phil, the only one that's really talking about it is you. Because if we make fun of you, it's one and done. But you like to think about it constantly because it never goes the fuck away.
The people who say shit like that about someone's physical appearance are fucking weirdos.
Clearly you are, Phil. You went after other people's appearances, and yet we're the weirdos. I'm sorry, we don't make fun of somebody that has purple or pink or blue hair. You did that. Or the way that someone's beard looks like. You did that. You did all this shit. But yet you're going to say that we're the weirdos. Okay, Phil.
If I'm okay with my own physical appearance, right? I'm totally fine with it. Why wouldn't other people? Why are people so weird and obsessing over it? Because they're the ones that are fucked in the head. They're just weirdos.
Phil, you're the one that's weird about it because I'm not obsessed about it like you claim to think that I am. You're the one that's obsessed about it because you're thinking about what other people think about you, and it sticks into your fucking cerebellum, and you do not let that go. You are the kind of motherfucker that holds petty fucking grudges against people because they made fun of you that one time. Pro Jared comes to mind for that one, and there are many fucking others. Hell, you probably got mad about someone that bullied you in fucking middle school, and you're holding a grudge against that person. Yeah, fuck you, Jimmy, for shoving me in a locker. Like, I can only imagine that he has nightmares about it.
They have weird, perverted, disgusting thoughts. And they should, they should be fucking chastised for that, rather than say, oh, yeah, let's make fun. What are you making fun of? I'm a normal dude with a normal build.
No, Phil, what you have is not a fucking normal build at all. You are flabby as fucking shit, dude. And yet you want to say that, oh, they're making fun of me for having a normal build. No, you don't. And if you want to say that you do, my fucking God, do you look yourself in the mirror and you think, oh yeah, I got the six-pack abs. Yeah, Kat's gonna fuck me tonight, but she doesn't even touch it. But yet you want to say that you want to chastise us. Phil, when was the last time you ever fucked a woman? And I'm not including your wife. I'm just saying in fucking general. When was the last time you put your little dick inside of somebody? Just think about that one, Phil. Because I know you watch me.
Right? No, I'm not skinny, but I'm also not fat. I got like kind of a mid-build.
You don't have a mid-build at all, Phil. You're fucking flabby.
I've actually lost a lot of weight.
Again, nobody fucking cares. I mean, people will be there going, bravo, Phil, for losing all that weight. But nobody fucking cares.
In the last 2-3 years, I lost like 20 pounds. I used to be around 220, 230. I'm up 200 pounds now. And I fluctuate between like 195 to a little over 200. That's my average body weight now.
No, it's not. Give or take, you're around 230, 240.
What am I ashamed of? I'm not ashamed at all. I don't fucking care.
And that is the problem, Phil. A narcissistic lolcow like yourself can never feel any fucking shame or humility because you want to walk around like you're shameless. Everyone else can do whatever they want and you want to chastise and criticize them for it, but whatever you do is A-O-fucking-K. Again, you are your own best critic, but yet you are your own worst fucking enemy here.
Right? So why do you? People are just fucking really weird. Again, these people who obsess about me over the internet have fucking problems in their head that they obsess over this shit.
Phil, you're the one that's obsessing over it. I already said it once and I'm not going to say it again, but I have to here because it's a broken fucking record with you. You're the one that's obsessed. We are the ones that are crawling inside of your brain. And you are the one that never feels all the shame. Think about it.
They really are the oddest, most disgusting fucking people out there, and they need mental help to think about that. Who cares about me in this shirt right now? But there's people actually commenting about it in the chat and shit. It's like, what are you, a fucking loser? Who the fuck cares?
So you're calling the ones that are talking about in your chat fucking losers, the ones that are there to quote-unquote support you? So essentially you're calling them losers too, if you think about it. But instead you're trying to make a jab at detractors though. Even though us detractors don't even give a fuck what we look like. Sure, we may look at ourselves in the mirror and go, I'm going to improve myself. And we have the fucking right to do so. But you, Phil? You never want to do that. You just want to look in the mirror and think you're fucking perfect. Like you're fucking Jesus fucking Nazareth.
It's a sweater. It's comfy.
Long sleeve shirt. Looks like a slim fitting type shirt, Phil.
What? I'm not fucking a runway model here for you.
This is the third fucking time he's brought up the I'm not a model argument.
I don't do makeup on my fucking face.
If you did makeup on your fucking face, then my God, dude, you better put on that fucking Karen Masters wig again.
Care. You shouldn't either. You're a weirdo if you do. You really are weird. You need help.
I'm not the one that's obsessed over what people think about me, Phil. That's clearly you, because you're still talking about it.
You should speak to someone about that. Maybe a friend, a relative, or maybe even a professional. If you care about how the streamer is wearing a shirt on a fucking stream, you need help.
Phil, that's a lot of projection coming from you because you have your wife right there and you don't even talk about anything with your fucking wife. You had friends, but you burnt all the fucking bridges. You don't want to talk to them and you don't want to do anything with them. Same thing with your fucking family. And even Kat's family. You want nothing to do with your fucking family. Oh, but I call them and text them. You fucking don't. Instead, the only times you ever call your fucking family is if you need something. And you're that fucking child. Oh my fucking god. It had to end with the pig snort, didn't it? Well, my fucking god. This whole fucking rant that Phil went on about the Game Awards is just one of the most unhinged things I have ever heard. I've come close to having a fucking aneurysm as much stupidity that he had ejected from his mouth. He wants to keep going on and on about how it's a good old boys club filled with nothing but insiders and gaming journalists that are all buddy-buddy to talk about what games should win at the Game Awards. Phil, nobody necessarily gives a fuck about the Game Awards. The only things that they want out of them are the new releases and the brand new titles that are going to be coming out. Maybe some trailers for games that are already announced and they have more of what the game will offer. That's what they truly care about. All the awards that are on there are completely fucking subjective. People can have their own takes and their own tastes of what they think should win. But again, it's all just in a sense of good fun, but Phil wants to sit there and make it all about journalism hate. And oh boy, let's not forget about the moob comment. How apparently he has pecs and that his shirt is a sweater when in reality it's just a long sleeve skin tight shirt. It's like, Phil, you're obsessed over how people look at you and you make yourself out there for the world to fucking see. Take what people tell you with a grain of fucking salt because that is your biggest issue. You take what everyone says to you personally, and whenever you lash out at people, it shows your toxicity more and more and more. But with that said and done, let us move on with the Phil prayer to end this whole thing off, because God, my head still hurts. Deliver us from the dents. Deliver us from the pay pigs. Deliver us from the pignosis. May we never become dented. May we never become a beggar like Darkside Phil. And for the love of God, if you enjoyed a game that came out in the year 2023, enjoy the games that you want to enjoy. Don't let Pig Roach tell you otherwise. Amen.